you want to make a turn, you put in left rudder and left stick. And I was doing all that, perfect. But then you're supposed to release your rudder. Once you establish your bank, then you don't have to keep pulling the rudder in. I did. Nobody told me you weren't supposed to do that, so I was skidding. So
And what plane was it?
that was in a PT-19A made by Fairchild. And they, so after 2 hours, I got that straightened out. I had a check ride with, the first one was a civilian that told me I wasn't going to make it. And then the Army checked me out, and I had it straightened out, so I was okay. So then my 40-hour, I went right through that. 60-hour check was where you take your instructor up and you get him heck and make him do whatever you want him to do. Well, again, my instructor, he was a very fine pilot, but he was a little crazy. He could do weird things with an airplane. So after about 10 minutes that you spoke from the back seat to the front seat with a little tube, I was giving him hell. And then after that, he said, you want to do a lot of, we had practiced inverted flying, but this guy, he said, we'll make the oil come out of there. He did. When we came down, there was oil leaking all over. But while we were still up there, he said, were you ever in an inverted spin? And I says, no. Well, a normal spin, you bring it up and you stall the airplane out. And then you kick a rudder and it starts going down like this and it throws you into the airplane. An inverted spin, you put it upside down, you stall it out upside down, then you kick it into a spin and you're thrown out of the airplane. The seat belt is the only thing that's holding you in that plane. And every turn, you're going out. And after about 3 turns, he straightened it out. He says, all you have to do with this plane is just let go of the controls. It'll do it itself. He said, would you like to try that again? I said, forget it.
Let's go home.
Then we had graduated. There was no formal ceremony, but there was a party that my instructor gave for the cadets to be had left. In fact, all of us made it. There were six of us, and none of us were washed out. And the average is about 33% washed out. So anyway, he had this big party, and it got pretty late. You know, I wasn't supposed to be off the base at any time overnight. At midnight on weekends, I had to be back. So we're all having a good time. We're having a few drinks and getting pretty late. And I said to the instructor, I've got to get back to the base. And so did Art Schmidt, my buddy. And we wanted to go, but he said, oh no, I'll fix it up. He made a telephone call. We don't know who he talked to or what. But he said, it's all fixed up. You fellas can stay here for a while yet. So we did, and when Smitty and I got back to the base, all the rest of the fellas, I think, left. Because Smitty and I were the only ones that we came in and the guards grabbed us. AWOL.
Oh, no.
So we didn't know what was going to happen. There was talk of court-martial, anything to really scare you. But to get to my next base, which is Coffeyville, Kansas, I had to walk off, I don't know how many tours, but for 2 days I had to walk the tours were in a sort of a rectangle, maybe about 50 yards one way and 20 yards across, then 50 back, and go right in the rectangle. So in order, there wasn't enough time left for me to leave with the rest of the boys, unless I doubled up. I would double time one way, or one way all the way around, then just march the other way. Every other one I had a double time. And I was on that ramp all day long for 2 days. And it was my birthday too. Mom standing at the gate with the little cake.
I'd gotten them a cake and 21 cupcakes. And I had to pass them through the gate. I had come to Sykeston. And then I went on to Coffeyville. A memorable 21st.
How'd you get out to Coffeyville? Was that by train?
Yeah.
Oh.
Go to Cleveland to Chicago, change trains for St. Louis, and then down to Sykeston by bus.
How long did that take to get from Cleveland? Like 2 or 3 days.
Probably took 2 days on the train, maybe, and an extension. 2 days. I didn't stay over. I must have slept on that right in the seat.
And then how long were you in Coffeyville?
Very short time, a couple weeks.
Yeah, we were running out of money, right? As a cadet, I only made $75 a month. But they paid for all my meals and everything, but it was hard to support a wife. 75.
And they were
feed her.
not, they were not allowed out all week long, they were only allowed out of stir
Yeah.
on weekends. Saturday and Sunday. And there were no jobs for wives to get, because they knew you weren't gonna be there.
Okay, it was 8 weeks.
It's been a fun time for you in Coffeyville. A lot of
Well, in
sitting.
Sykeston, I shared a little apartment in a home with another cadet boy. And he was New Year's party we had there.
Not
Sticky
forgot that.
floor.
Next, next morning, you couldn't even walk across the floor, there was so much sticky booze. Well, we had a bunch of cadets, and, you know, the way they treated us, we were almost like prisoners. And once they turned us loose, look out.
And the percentage of cadets that were married was very small.
Yeah. You-
A
you-
handful, really. So that's who we hung around with, married couples. The other fellows fancy free. But in, we went to Coffeyville then.
You tell this story, this is a good one. Well, after a couple of weeks,
Oh, then, it was cold there, below zero all the time. But, Grandma and Grandpa Wright, were going to go to Florida like they usually did on vacation. So I went back home to stay with Stella and Bill. And that's when I overheated the furnace.
no, what I was thinking about was your financial situation. on the
Oh,
way home.
yes, on the way home on the train. I got back to Cleveland with 75 cents in my pocket.
That's cutting it close.
I didn't have money for a sandwich or anything on the train.
Oh, no.
I arrived home hungry.
I led a life of riches and ease.
Okay, you were in Coffeyville.
Okay, then.
Basically.
And, I was almost washed out in Coffeyville. I had an instructor there, he had 4 students. And, we didn't know till later why two of them were washed out almost immediately. The first day up on each one of the students, he would say, I've got the controls, I'll just fly you around, you get used to looking around the area so you're familiar with everything. And then about, after half an hour just flying around, he turned you upside down and said, you got it. Well, the two that split S, you know what a split S is? You get over on your back and you're not controlling the airplane, you just fall out and down towards Earth.
Oh.
And the Smitty, my buddy and I, we rolled out and we were okay, but the other two split S and they were washed out almost like immediately. So then everything was going pretty well and the weather had been cold, but then it turned to a beautiful spring-like day, and an instructor told me that he's putting me up for a check ride for washout. So he took me with him to another small auxiliary field. He was watching other cadets land the plane, and I was just sitting in the plane watching all this beautiful spring day. I was about ready to cry. You know, here I'm going to be washed out. And got back, and he put me up with Captain Liebart. He was the squadron commander. And so away we went. One of the things I think I did right, we got up about 2,000 feet and the engine started missing. Well, one of the first things you should do is change your tanks, which I did immediately. And just one of those days, you know, you say you play the organ, you feel like doing it. I gave this guy the best ride I ever gave anybody in my life. We came in and landed, and I put that three-pointer. You didn't even know I touched it. He got out of the plane. He says, "You're all right." So that instructor. After that, I told Mom a couple of times. Every time I did something wrong, he said, "Schlee, you're going to get your ass shot off." So I don't know if he's living or not. Anyway, I got through basic. You get to we lost quite a few in basic, buddies, but you get to Eagle Pass, advanced, where we flew the AT-6. The first thing they tell you there is you're not going to wash out here. You're either going to make it or you're going to kill yourself. So that's the way it was. Nobody ever washed out from our group in advance. And nobody got killed in my class.
Great. Now, were you training for just piloting any airplane, or did you know you were going to the hump?
At this time, I was training for fighter aircraft.
Ah.
And that's what, when you finish basic, there's a division. Some of you, and we were discussing this at the Tucson get-together, how we wound up in single and some twin. I thought we had a choice, but a lot of the fellows said they didn't have a choice, that you go there and you go there. So anyway, single engine was where I went to. And thinking that it'd be fighter pilot training wasn't thinking about anything else, really. And then just before we graduated, they gave you a slip of paper with about 6 choices on it. On there was troop carrier, instructor, ATC, which I didn't even know what that was, and fighter, and I don't know what the other two were, but I had ATC in there, Air Transport Command, and that's what I got.